Hello everyone, my name is Carl, and today I'll be doing a double feature and reviewing Nintendo Labo ToyCon 01 Variety Kit and the ToyCon 02 the Robot Kit. Now both of these were developed and published by Nintendo for the Switch on April 20th, 2018. It'll run you $70 for the Variety Kit, including all of the accessories, the cardboard that you need to make the stuff that you need to, and it'll run you $60 for ToyCon 02, the Variety Kit. The first one is rated E with mild violence, and the Robot Kit is rated E10 plus with fantasy violence. Both of these are an interesting foray by Nintendo into like child STEM education, and it does so by including cardboard sheets with various punched out shapes that you can build and fold together to make toys called ToyCons. I've got one right here. This is the ToyCon house with a variety kit that you can incorporate with your Nintendo Switch to play various games. So essentially, each one of these games has a big old package with a game cartridge inside, like this, and the cardboard for you to make said toy cons out of cardboard and play with them and all that good stuff. So after I first heard about these, I thought it was super cool. I remember the first commercial had like an assembly line punching out these cardboard shapes, and I was really confused as to what was happening. And then it showed them getting folded up into a piano, and it showed a kid pressing the key on the piano and it playing. And I thought this was like absolutely the coolest, and I wanted to know what the heck was going on. How well did it work? Was this like kind of a trumped up, ooh, look how fancy this is, but actually, like, this is the limited application of it, and you can't do any more. I really wanted to know what the heck these two, like this Nintendo Labo was. Of course, this is not going to be a normal review of a normal game because it's not a traditional game. It's like an education thing, so keep that in mind when I'm going through. I'm not probably going to focus on a lot of the usual things that I focus on when I review a normal traditional game. So, into the gameplay of it, there's really four modes you can interact with in both of these. There's the build mode, the play mode, the learn mode, and the create mode, which is done through the ToyCon Garage, and I'll talk about that later. The first one is probably my favorite part, the build mode. So essentially, it includes step-by-step instructions to build each of the cardboard Toy-Cons using the sheets provided to you in the kit. And if you've ever like built a Lego set or a model, or if you enjoy assembling IKEA furniture, you kind of know what I mean when I say that I enjoyed this thoroughly. The instructions are very, very, very well done. I think you can like fast forward to the next step. You can rewind. You can move the model around. The instructions are very, very clear, and they're funny, full of funny little cutesy jokes and banter. They'll nickname little parts and be like, "Oh, put this little boy right there," and stuff like that. And so it keeps you entertained. Especially, I assume, if you were to build it with someone else. I built mine alone. I do not have any young children to do this with. Everything fits perfectly together. I never had any problem with like, how is this supposed to fit, or trying to shove something where it was technically supposed to go but wasn't fitting. Everything worked perfectly, and the instructions are clear enough for kids to understand. But given that you can fast forward them enough, it's good enough for if you're doing it by yourself as a smart adult. You're not going to get bored yourself. So I very much enjoyed putting all five things in the variety kit and the robot suit together. That was my absolute favorite part. Um, and then there's the play mode. So once you have built your Toy-Con house, like what can you do with it? So going over both games, both Toy Cons. In the Toy Con 1, the variety kit, you get 5 different things. Number one is the RC car. If you've ever had a hex bug, it's kind of like that. It's where these RC cars with like little fingers in them, you stick the Joy Cons from your Switch onto the side, and they vibrate, which causes the car to rumble, and the little feet are situated in such a way that you rumble, it goes forward. So that's it's really basic. Start out pretty cool. The house, which is this thing, it's certainly interesting. You put the Switch in here, and it goes there, and that is the screen. You put a Joy-Con here, and it has a Joy-Con comes with the right one comes with a an IR sensor, and you can put various knobs and stuff in the side and in the bottom, and the Joy-Con will see the reflective tape that you have on them, and it will register that, oh, this is a button that you can press, and it will change the inside of the house so that you can play with your little fluff ball. So you might put like a little spigot looking thing in here, and then it puts a spigot inside, and you turn the cardboard spigot, and then it turns the water on inside, and then your little fluff ball goes for a swim. Unfortunately, like, it's very basic. It feels like a test, like a test demo, a tech demo. That's what I'm looking for. It feels like a tech demo of what you can do. It doesn't feel like an actual game, which is kind of a recurring theme for a lot of these. It feels like a tech demo and not like you're actually playing something fun. So that's kind of um, the next one up is the piano. This one's my favorite. So you have this little tiny, you know, 1 octave piano. You have a knob in there that can change the volume. You have a little switch that can switch octaves up and down, and you can record things. And you can go over and you can record multiple tracks, kind of like your own little garage band. And the coolest thing I think is you can. This is getting to the little technicalities of music, but when you hear something in music, the waveform it forms and why it sounds different is called its timbre, if I'm understanding this correctly. And you can cut out that waveform into a piece of cardboard to make a timbre and have it scanned in so that if you, say, cut out a violin's timbre and you put it into the piano will sound like a violin. And in this way, you can record multiple tracks. And theoretically, like I said, I'm no music guy, so I don't know exactly how how it's limited. But theoretically, you could make an entire symphony just using this dinky one one sound, 1 octave piano that has no pre-recorded sounds. Really, you know, you can program any sound into it using that little timer thing, and I think that's really cool. Fourthly, there's the fishing rod, which you make this fishing rod where the reel has kind of a Joy-Con in it, so it can tell when it's being turned. And then the fishing line is like stuck uh, in this little base that has your switch in it, and you can catch fish. The fishing minigame itself, like, yeah, it wears off quickly. It's a fishing minigame. It's fine. But yeah, it's kind of cool to be able to have this like thing tugging on your rod. The fish don't actually tug on your rod physically. You just have like a rubber band constantly giving your line some tug there. But it is kind of interesting, like controlling this rod and seeing the line move in game relatively accurately. And then finally, in the variety kit, you have the motorbike, which is a little motorbike thing you sit on your lap, which is kind of difficult to keep it on your lap, but you can turn it, and you've got a little thumb whatever brake, and you can make tracks and whatnot, and drive around there. It's a basic racing game where you race against ghosts or whatever. So that's it for the variety kit. For the most part, unfortunately, when you're playing these games, they feel like they're made not to be games, but just to demonstrate what the ToyCon can do. So like you kind of feel like it's really fun at the start when you're like, oh, this is so cool. Like I can put a knob in here, it will recognize that it's a knob, and then when I twist it, it changes something in game. Wow! But filling up a house with water, it gets old fast. It it's cool to see your creations work, but it's not fun to play with them after a real quick time. You know. And then finally, similarly with the Toy-Con 02, you build this robot suit where it's a backpack, and you grab onto two things attached to strings, and you also strap two strings to your legs, and you can walk around and extending your arms to punch and your legs to walk moves things in your backpack, which the IR camera can tell is moving, and it makes you move or punch in real life. The problem, or in the game rather, you moving and punching in real life moves them in the game. The problem is there's like a robot knockout mode, I think, and a destroy the city mode. There's not a lot of content. Like you spend hours building this backpack, and it's really fun, but then you go to actually use it and play with it, and you find, oh, there's not a lot there. So that's my biggest criticism, is that it could have used more in-game stuff, in any case, after you've built it and after you play with it, there's also the create mode, which is also called the ToyCon Garage, where you unlock it, and it's kind of a free playground for you to make your own Toy-Con and program a game. It's pretty dang in depth from what I saw. I didn't spend a lot of time with it, and it didn't really make my own Joy-Con. But like, you can be like, okay, if you press the A button, a Joy-Con vibrates, right? Or if a Joy-Con gets jostled, it plays a sound on the Switch. So you can do like a drum set where you put a Joy-Con on a little drum, and you hit the drum, and it moves the Joy-Con, and the Switch plays a percussion sound. So that's cool. I looked online, and I saw some pretty in-depth stuff. Someone made a boxing game entirely on this thing. Someone made a pinball machine where it'll count up your score. They physically made the pinball machine in real life out of cardboard and paper and whatever. But then once the Toy-Con itself, the Switch itself, would keep track of how many points you got by like seeing what things got flipped and all that fun stuff. So that's really cool, and there's a lot you can do with it. And honestly, if you're gonna buy this is probably the thing that you want to do. Like, this is how you're gonna get your money's worth, is doing the create in ToyCon Garage, because the other stuff, it's kind of light on the content, if you know what I mean. So on to story. I'm going to talk about learn mode, which is pretty darn good. Once you make your Toy-Con, there is a learn mode where you can go step by step and learn about all of the technologies that go into making your Toy-Con work, and how it's implemented, and my personal favorite, how you can fix your Toy-Con if they wear out, because they are cardboard, without having to buy more stuff from Nintendo. I really do appreciate that they're just like, oh, you can buy more reflector stuff for us pre-made. They're like, no, you can get some like bikers reflective tape that they put on bikes so that you can see them at night, and use that instead. So that's really cool. So thumbs up for Nintendo. Overall, even though I personally knew a lot already about like gyrometers, accelerometers, infrared sensors, and flashlights, I personally didn't learn a lot. I did really enjoy how they utilize like these three little characters to kind of shepherd you through learning the process yourself. Like this little kid, I believe. No, the is something. His name was something plays. It doesn't. It escapes me from now. But he doesn't know. You know, he's a little kid. He doesn't really understand a lot. So they teach him what's going on, and um, by proxy, you learn what's going on, and I really appreciate that. Um, I really appreciate how it does that, so that it's easy for you to learn, easy for a kid to learn, and still they do it in a way that it's still uh, educational for, say, a high schooler, because they go into pretty into depth of like what infrared radiation is and how it's able to see certain things better than others, and things like gyrometers and accelerometers and how they work together to find out motion and stuff. I take that back. I did learn something. I learned that most cameras actually pick up infrared radiation. So, and most uh, remote controls, like TV remotes, emit infrared radiation. So, you can, if you point an infrared, I wish I hadn't lost my TV remote. If you point an infrared remote at a camera, you can see the infrared light flash on the camera usually, but not to the naked eye. So you can kind of test if it's working or not. So that's one thing I did learn. So kudos to you, Labo. Overall, good way to learn. Might be a bit childish, bit kiddish to any adults playing this, but whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna go real fast through these next couple of categories. Graphics, art style. It's fine. Obviously, it's not trying to wow you or anything. The in-game renders of the cardboard and everything were great. They look perfectly like the thing in real life. I have absolutely no complaints about that. The gameplay is not really the focus, fortunately. So the graphics are serviceable. I didn't find any fault with them. Whatever. Music, same thing. It's fine. There's not a whole lot. It's serviceable. There's a lot of fun, like, oh, learning, yeah, Nintendo Labo music. It was enjoyable for the most part, whatever. So, on to the conclusion. Obviously, like I said before, this isn't a typical game review, and these are not typical games, right? They're STEM educational tools, so keep my recommendations in mind accordingly. If you have a young one that enjoys Nintendo and or building and STEM, whatever, this could be fun. But I mean, are these really worth like $60 or $70? $60 or $70 to buy? No. I had fun building them, but like it takes a few hours of fun to build them, and then you get maybe an hour or two of like actually playing with them before the novelty wears off quick. The create or the learning mode was cool, but obviously if you already know everything that's going on, it's not really viable. The only saving grace potentially could be create mode, which you can make your own ToyCon. But I just wish they didn't kind of like hide behind, oh, make your own, make your own. I want some more content for me first before I go end up making my own. Especially when like it takes a lot of work and creativity to figure out what you want to do. It's not something like Super Mario Maker where the level builder is very clearly set out for you, and you can just kind of experiment with stuff. You really have to know what you're doing. At least I think, kind of have a fully fledged vision before you can start making this stuff. I mean, I just overall I just don't get enough game out of this to justify the price tag. If you imagine that, say, both of these are a $60 game, you know, This one, they're saying, like, this is worth a $60 game, and the cardboard is worth nothing. And then this one, they're saying the cardboard is worth $10. Even then, I mean, it's cardboard. If you say, like, the cardboard is worth $10, this, you're buying it for $60, which is a AAA game uh, cost, and this you're buying for $50, which is, a AAA game back in the Wii days. So I just, if Nintendo wanted me to like these more, they would have given me more gameplay, more content to play, and or lower the price. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm an idiot, so I went out and bought them day one. But, like, come on, really? Especially with the robot suit, man. Like, you're building this one thing that does one thing, and you don't get all that much out of it. If you don't utilize creative mode that well, there's not much in these for you. Once the novelty wears off, you're left with bulky cardboard. I don't want to throw this away, but it's been through, it's gotten kind of broken apart, and you can't really break it down really quickly or easily into something flat and manageable. So, like, ah, ah. As for my rating, I mean, you're probably gonna know if this is your thing or not. You don't really need me to tell you to wreck it to get it or not. At least I think. So take what I say with a big asterisk. Don't focus on the number I give them. Focus on the words I'm saying around it. As for the variety kit, ToyCon 01, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It is, Labo overall is a decent concept, and it is fun to put together like all these different things and see how they work. But, like, once you do that, you're done, I feel like. If you're not going to create mode, you're done after that. And there's only a few hours of fun to be had. As for the robot kit, you spend all this time making the robot suit, right? That you use for like less than an hour of gameplay, right? So I'll give it a 4 out of 10. It's iffy. There's really no reason to get one over the variety kit, especially since they came out at the exact same time. It the novelty wears out fast. Oh, overall, I just kind of feel bad for Labo. Like, they started out with this, and they made a couple more, which I might review on this channel in the future. But I wanted to see them really push the envelope of this. One idea I had was that technically, with the whole IR sensor design, if you had a controller with no internal electrical components that just had buttons that would um, show reflectors to an IR camera, you could make a controller that had nothing but an IR camera and a little computer that could detect where these reflectors are and relay to the Switch what button you pressed. So you could make a controller using, instead of an entire circuit board connecting every single button, one little mini microprocessor attached to an infrared camera. And that's it. And for that reason, I feel like Labo, they had something really cool here, but they just kind of ditched it. It's just a shame. So yeah, overall, that's my thoughts on Nintendo Labo. If you have any differing thoughts on Labo itself, what you like about it, any questions or comments or concerns about my review, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I read all my comments. But other than that, that's that for Labo. Let me know what y'all think, and have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.